Is this the end of everything between Jin and ARMY? Or is it precisely the beginning of the most shocking story in K-pop history? When BTS's Jin appeared alongside Shin Se-kyung on The Tonight Show, the world fell silent. But not just because of their incredible visuals, except for the real reason behind the Jin's presence. Isn't the Echo album for the ARMY? Who is the woman who inspired this song? And why does Fallon look lost for words? Who would have thought that Jin BTS's arrival in the United States this time was not to talk about his group's comeback, not to promote a military project, or even not entirely about his own new album? Because when Jin stepped out of the luxurious black car that took him to the Tonight Show studio with Fallon, all the public's attention was riveted on the one woman next to him, Shin Se-kyung. What exactly happened? Why Shin Se-kyung? And why did the interaction of the two on the show make the rest of BTS fans, and even Fallon himself, seem at a loss for words? No one was prepared to witness the scene. Jin wore a classic black suit, his eyes shaded but implying deep nervousness, while at his side, Shin Se-kyung appeared in an elegant white dress that contrasted with the camera's glare that burst out in all directions. They arrived together. They walked together. But that's not what shook everyone. Jin's smile did remain the same, polite and gentle as the ARMY was known for, but his gaze that night, felt like it harbored something more than just a music promotion. And when Fallon's camera captured the seconds when Jin's hand reflexively touched the back of Shin Se-kyung's hand, the South Korean and international public were uproar. The question now is, why did they come together? And why didn't the other BTS members accompany Jin? Why was it precisely Shin Se-kyung, an actress known for her emotional and powerful roles, who accompanied one of BTS's legendary visuals on an event as big as The Tonight Show, just as Fallon opened the special segment? With a cheery welcome and his trademark jokes, the mood of the studio noticeably changed as soon as the genie took over the microphone. And the first sentence that came out of his mouth made everyone, including Jimmy, instantly petrified. I want to explain something that might surprise a lot of people. Jin's voice sounded calm, but his serious tone shook the room. He didn't smile as usual, not greeting the ARMY as usual. Do not open with a light joke that has been the hallmark of Jin. He glanced at Shin Se-kyung, then looked back at the camera. This album, Echo, is not just about loss or platonic love. It's not about the war or even about my journey as a BTS member. It's about someone. The audience is silent. Fallon leaned forward. Then Jin said something that made the hearts of millions of ARMY feel pierced. This is not an album I made for the ARMY. The camera highlights Fallon's face, which is clearly not expecting the direction of this conversation. But before anyone could digest the statement, Jin continued. But that doesn't mean I don't love them. Precisely because I know they love me deeply. I dare to be honest. This album I made for someone who has given me courage, calm, and inspiration when I was at the darkest point of my life. And he is here tonight. The studio is almost silent. The audience seemed to be holding their breath. Fallon didn't even interrupt. For the first time, the stage of The Tonight Show did not feel like a promotional venue, but rather like the stage of the most honest confession of a man who has been known to keep his image, keep secrets, keep his distance. And when the camera pans back to Shin Se-kyung, who is now looking teary-eyed, the public begins to connect everything. Is this the real reason why the Don't Say You Love Me music video stars the two of them as lovers? Is their relationship more than just professional work? In the video clip, the two look as if they are really involved in a real tragic love story. Not ordinary acting. Not a promotional gimmick. There is an emotional touch that is too honest, too real, it hurts to be considered a mere music video. We both lost someone very dear to us almost at the same time, Jin continued. And in that grief, we strengthened each other. The song is a reflection of our conversations, the tears not captured on camera, and the hugs given when the world is not looking. Fallon finally speaks out, although his voice also sounds quiet and full of caution. So, you made this whole album, song after song, for him? Jin just nodded, and in that moment everything changed. The hashtags #echo for her and #Jin Se-kyung instantly topped trending global topics in a matter of minutes. The army is divided into two, those who feel hurt and those who cry because Jin can finally be honest about his feelings. But not a few also questioned, if not for the army, then are all previous interactions only part of the strategy? Or is it a form of respect for the Jin towards someone who has saved him from silent destruction? Shin Se-kyung finally spoke up. Her voice was soft, full of emotion, but still firm. I didn't ask for this. I was even told not to be a part of this project. But Jin, he insisted. Because for him, delivering this message is part of the healing process. And if with my presence, he can heal, then I will be here with him, even if it means having to face a world that does not understand him. Restrained cries from the audience began to be heard. Some even began to wipe tears, and probably, this is what no one predicted, that an idol like Jin, who has been known to keep a firm boundary between his public and private life, would be so open, not for promotion, not for gimmicks, but for one simple reason, love. However, the question now becomes bigger and deeper. Will this confession change everything? Will the army accept the fact that they are no longer the only ones at the center of the Jin world? Or will it open up a new way for idols not to continue hiding behind the concept and fan service that sometimes imprisons them? Jimmy Fallon ended up closing the segment with a single sentence that sounded more like a prayer than a show statement. Love, it turns out, is the most honest art form a human being can have. And when the last camera shows Jin's gaze looking at Shin Se-kyung with sparkling eyes, everyone finally realizes Don't Say You Love Me is not just a song. It is a testimony. It is courage. It is a recognition of an undeniable taste. The whole world is waiting. Not just the full release of the Echo album, but also the end of this story. Or perhaps this is just the beginning of something much bigger, much more honest, and much more emotional than we can imagine. And that woman, who made Jin write the most personal album of his life, is named Shin Se-kyung. But the surprise of the night was not over. In fact, arguably, the segment with Jimmy Fallon was just the beginning of a bigger storm. After the broadcast was over, social media exploded. ARMY's reaction was divided, with even some longtime fans seeming to unpack all the little moments that now feel suspicious. Jin's gaze backstage during his first solo performance, the too long pause when he mentioned the word love in a previous interview, even the fact that he never really explained the meaning of Echo's title. Now it's all starting to make sense. The word echo itself, echo, can mean something that continues to resonate in the heart, in memory, in an empty space that can never be filled completely. And it's not just a metaphor. The album was an echo of someone real. Someone who may have reshaped the meaning of life for a man who has lived in the spotlight all this time. Behind the stage, the atmosphere was calmer, but the aura that enveloped Jin and Shin Se-kyung felt heavy. They didn't talk much, but from their facial expressions, it was clear there was something deeper than just a working relationship. A show crew member revealed that before entering the studio, Jin briefly held Shin Se-kyung's hand and whispered something in a very low voice. Too low for anyone to hear, but enough to make the woman's face instantly blush. Then came the wild rumors. Some claim that the relationship between the two has been going on for more than 2 years secretly. Some say that the song, You Are the Rain I Chased, in the Echo album is actually a recording of Jin's personal letter to Shin Se-kyung, which he never sent. The song sounds muffled, almost like a whisper from someone who has grown tired of keeping everything alone. Lyrics like, You came in silence but left your name across the walls of my soul, describes a taste that is too real to be called fiction. This is not just a work of art. It's an experience. This is a wound sewn in tone and harmony point. One of the most viral moments post-viewing was the trailer for the Don't Say You Love Me music video featuring Jin and Shin Se-kyung playing lovers trapped in an unfinished love story. In the climax scene, the character played by Jin looks at the woman's face and then says in a trembling voice, Don't tell me you love me, if you're leaving tomorrow. And Shin Se-kyung, with real tears flowing, just looked at him and whispered, "I'm not going, but I can't stay." The scene made thousands of people cry. The reaction of netizens illustrates how strong their chemistry is. But even more surprising was the confession of one of the production crew, who said that the scene was not written in the script. It was improvisation. Words that came straight out of Jin and Shin Se-kyung's hearts. Does that mean they've been in that position in real life? Questions hang in the air. HYB finally issued an official statement a few hours after the Tonight Show segment aired. But the content of the Jin and Shin Se-kyung's interaction on the Tonight Show, Echo, album Not for the Army? The real story is just beginning. But did Jin and Shin Se-kyung's story really end with the release of the Don't Say You Love Me video clip? Or is it all just beginning? The day after the premiere of the music video, the world seemed to shift. Trending topic is filled with one name, Shin Se-kyung. But this time not because of the drama, nor because of her beauty, but because of one indisputable fact. It has become part of the most emotional history Jin has ever written, and probably BTS itself. Then came the next surprise, an exclusive invitation from Fallon for the genie to return to The Tonight Show, but this time alone. Shin Se-kyung doesn't show up. There was no one else in the guest room. And for the first time, Jimmy started the segment with no joke. His voice sounded heavy as he said, "Usually we laugh a lot, but today we're talking about something real. Jin, are you ready?" Jin just nodded slowly. Did I end 45 minutes without pause? Jin finally spoke. He doesn't name anyone directly, but every sentence contains hurt, love, and honesty that are too painful to deny. I love someone I can never fully own. The sentence made the studio silent. Fallon didn't even speak, and I made this album not to be remembered, but to let go. The word release was echoing in the room. Jimmy tried to smile, but his eyes were red. A lot of fans feel left out, Jin. They asked, "Do you still love them?" And Jin looked at the camera, his eyes teary. The army is home, but not even home can't hold all the feelings that never got spoken. You can hear some sobs in the audience. Jin did not speak as an idol that night. He speaks as a human being, as a man whose heart was once full and is now empty. Following that interview, HYB announced that a deluxe version of the Echo album would be released with the addition of one bonus track. I didn't tell you. The song is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. There is no chorus, just one long verse, like a letter that was never sent. The song was not given a video clip, but when it was released on all platforms, one static image appeared as cover art. Jin's hand holding a small necklace with the initials S. Is that Shin Se-kyung's initials? The question again broke the internet. Even some fans began to investigate Shin Se-kyung's appearance in various places in recent months. One TikTok user unpacked old footage in which Jin was seen buying a small ring from a luxury jewelry boutique in Paris. And what's surprising, Shin Se-kyung was also in Paris on the same day, based on her Instagram post. Did they secretly meet there? Is Paris the city of love witness to a love story that has never been made public? Then there is one more surprising fact. A stylist from the Don't Say You Love Me video clip anonymously said that at the end of filming, Jin asked for 5 minutes with Shin Se-kyung alone. The entire crew was called out. Those 5 minutes were never recorded. But after leaving the room, both eyes puffy. And Shin Se-kyung is seen wearing a necklace that is not in the filming wardrobe property. The same necklace, with the initials S, and in the closed-door Echo album showcase concert in Seoul, Jin performed the song Don't Say You Love Me in acoustic format. At the end, he stops the music, looks at the audience, then says, "I can't sing this if he's here, but tonight he's not there. So let me finish." Her tears fell. The concert was one of the most emotional performances in BTS's solo history, and when the concert ended, the audience found one hidden message in each other's seats. Sometimes we love someone, not to have, but to let him go. J. Full name not mentioned. But everyone knows who Jay is. And all know who made Jay right like that point 1 week after that. Shin Se-kyung showed up at Incheon International Airport. Journalists stormed. They asked if he and Jin had ever really been in a relationship. Is it true it was the main inspiration of the album Echo, but